We're ready. We're on the air.
We're on the air. We're live.
Yes.
We're back again.
Back again. Julia and Dad for the Divine Realignment Podcast, the Dadcast. My name is Julia Wesley. I'm a professional medium and a guide for my channel. Oh my gosh, I did that again. I'm a professional medium and channel for my guides, and we like to talk about people's life purpose. Generally, we also like to talk about other stuff, but life purpose in particular. And I have my dad, Mark, with me. And we're gonna talk.
Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. I had to cough and we had to use the cough button. I did it wrong.
You did.
So you press it once to activate and then again to deactivate?
Yes.
See, I thought it was like a trigger thing, right? Where it's like boom, boom. So.
No, that's okay.
You gotta learn, right? We're working the bugs out.
I
We're
can
working the
edit
bugs
that out. That's fine. That's all right.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
All right, from the Nashville studios, a question from you to me.
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of people, when they go into mediumship or when they start digging into the woo-woo and they're like, I kind of want to do this professionally, what they worry about is what their family will think about it.
Sure.
Whether or not they're crazy. And I've never worried about that with you guys.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And I want to know what makes you so cool about it. And I want to know if you can give any of those. Can you dad anyone else?
Can I dad it up some?
Yeah.
Okay. God, what was the question?
The question was, why are you why are you so old?
I'm joking. So why am I so cool with it? Why is Mom so cool with it? Well, okay, so getting all dad and everyone, you know. I don't know if I said it on a previous podcast, but you know, the childbearing years, the growing up years for you and your brother, I just love the hell out of them. I mean, I felt we really enjoyed it and did a pretty damn good job. You know, I think we were present for everything, and it really made it, as I feel it should be, when you have a child, they need to be first. And that doesn't mean that all your fun ends, but a lot of it does. What you're used to, right? So when people think that, oh no, you know, we're pregnant, it's the end of everything, you know, or worse yet, they're thinking about having a child and talking themselves into it, but they're trying to get past it's the end of, you know, our fun times.
Yeah.
You're not ready.
You've told me this before.
That's right. Yeah. It's not an ending, it's a beginning.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah, well, it's the only way I know how to describe it, you know. So if for this guy's opinion, if you're not down with that, you're missing the whole point of it.
So that's why you're so cool with me being so weird.
Part of it.
Yeah.
Part of it, you know, and just that, you know, I realized that what you guys needed, being younger, is really what all of us need to some degree, you know. I mean, we like to thump our chests and proudly proclaim that we need no one in life, some of us, you know, and I'll just knuckle through all this and get through it on my own, and I don't need anyone's approval, you know. Well, I think that's much crap. I think that when someone decides to put their weight behind you in a loving way, in a caring way, that it has a tremendous impact, and it can do nothing but good, or at the very least be extremely helpful. And you guys are certainly worth our weight being behind you, without question.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You know, so, you know, I mean, that's really, you know, about talking about it for 3 hours, you know, that's the short version of why I think it's very important that not only a mom and dad support, you know, their children, the other way around too is important. You know, it does help a parent when we have an inkling that what we're doing is the right thing, you know, and sometimes that information shows up by compliment by a grandparent, or a friend of a family, or a teacher, or a report card, something like that.
So would you say that if someone isn't getting the support they need from their family, it's kind of really not their fault?
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
You know, it's a bitch to try and grovel for someone's approval.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not a strong position to be in, that you're always trying to please someone, but you're not sure why. And why they can't just accept you for who you are. And here's a big thing and I've forced this advice on some of your friends.
Advice.
Yeah, forced the best advice of all. On your friends, and probably you guys have heard it, maybe I even forced it on you, that, in this life, change is inevitable.
Word.
And it's not easy, and it's really hard when you're young. I'm talking 14, 15, maybe younger, hell, even right now, my age. What you're going to be. I'll give you an example, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Here you are, in 11th grade, and for some reason you've decided that you're going to be an engineer. You haven't engineered anything in your entire life.
Yeah, but
except
I'm
maybe,
convinced.
Legos
Sure.
or, something like that, right? And away you go, and, you've told everyone, you told mom and dad, you told the aunts and uncles, you told grandma and grandpa, you told the neighbors, and everyone's rooting for you to be the engineer someday, right?
But then you pull up and you're like, wait a minute, I'm
right.
going to be a Reiki practitioner.
Yeah, well, that's a hard right turn, right? But nonetheless, it's exactly right.
Yeah.
Right? It's what life brings on. And now you have the problem of resetting everyone's expectations and explaining yourself and defending your position. Even if it's just, I want to be an engineer and I want to be a lawyer. I'll take those professions, right? You're defending your choices for your life. And I just think it's a real silly thing to do. I never picked trucking. It picked me.
Yeah.
Out of necessity. I needed a job, and I needed to pay a lot of money. And I bounced around doing a lot of things. And honestly, if you paid me $10 today, and I found a job that paid me $10.05 tomorrow, goodbye to you, hello $10.05. I mean, it was that, that was the goal back then. I just needed to make coin. And through a bunch of trial and error and a ton of hard work, I bumped into my first trucking job. Here I am 30 years later, and awfully happy it happened that way.
But you didn't explain those choices. So
I didn't have to, and I'm glad I didn't have to.
Yeah.
Because what a burden it is to have to encounter everyone and explain yourself, and then they don't really get it, but they placate you for the time being, and then you got to explain it later, and then how's it going, and all the. If you can't at least have mom and dad back you up, what the hell? I think that if there's a couple people, if you're lucky enough to have a couple people or more, if you're even luckier, that have just got your back.
I'm really lucky. I have you, Mom, Tom, my cousin.
Yeah.
A lot of people that I know, they're like, I come from like a hardline Christian background. They think I'm speaking to demons. They think I'm going crazy.
Sure.
Do you think it helped that you sort of, I don't want to say battled with your religion, but do you think it would have been harder if you were like a hardline
I know where you're
Christian?
going with the question. Yeah. I know where you're going with the question. No, and here's why, right? How many times have you heard stories, not necessarily from friends, but acquaintances, work acquaintances, whatever, of, Grandma, she was the one in the family that sort of had a little extra something going on there. She was like psychic. Yeah, we've all heard these things. Maybe not everyone, but it's a story we can relate to. Yeah, we've heard of these stories before, right? And I guess it's an easy concept when it's grandma or someone else's grandma's, better yet, right? But it's got to be someone's kid. Yeah. Right? And it's you, which I consider lucky. It's a hell of a thing to be able to do what you do in a good way, and it's, like I said, I think it's, I know you say that we can all do it to a certain degree, but
yes.
I am a believer that just like anything in life,
you have certain
people are better at it than other people. Yeah, we can all play checkers, but there are some guys that can just clean your clock.
That's true.
Right, with checkers, and there are some guys that you're like, I got this, I can handle this guy, So we can all do it, but some have a leg up for whatever the reason is,
some life paths incorporate this into their intention for this life, and some people don't. But that being said, we all can do it. I think if there was anyone listening to this and they don't have the support from their family, could you give them some dad love and some dad advice? Give them a pearl of wisdom.
Yeah. So it's going to be hard, right? But I think that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, you've heard me say it before. Work is supposed to be hard.
Oh, come on.
It is a little bit, right? And sometimes you have to persevere. But be confident in yourself and who you are. And take the little victories each and every day, and keep working at it.
Can we poke at the idea that work has to be hard?
It's one of my mantras.
It is. Can we poke at it a little bit? Because
it can be full of fun. It can be enjoyable, but
In what respect do you think it would be hard?
We talking about my work, or
I think in
general?
Yeah, like in specific to this, to someone who does it, who needs this pearl of wisdom.
I think that when you have this ability, and I think it probably takes a little bit of time to come to grips with it. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think that you've that's going to take a little bit of, just air quotes, work, right?
Some chutzpah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be resolute to get yourself through the other side of it and going, boy, all right, I'm not nuts. I really have something going on here, and I've sort of, I've confirmed it, and whatever that is to you to make you feel good about what you're doing, But I don't want it to mean like a negative connotation. I don't mean it that way.
It just requires a little extra grit and belief in yourself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely it does. And it's something that's not a physical thing that folks can put their hands on.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's tough. If you say you want to be a vacuum cleaner salesman, I can show you a vacuum.
Yeah, I sure can.
I've got something that I can, we can both touch and feel and understand relatively quickly with a 40-minute presentation.
Right.
But, down this road, it's a leap of faith. It's a leap of belief, similar to a religion, right? I mean, there's a lot of unseen things that you've got to work through. You've got to work at that. You practice that.
Because there's no proof for religion either, but it's your conviction and your belief that makes it okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what I mean by that. I don't mean it has to be torturous, or just unsurmountable. But you've got to donate some time to it. You've got to put your own weight behind it.
Yes.
And then hopefully, if you do a good job with that, and even if you have a group of family members or friends or whatever that sort of aren't behind you or don't quite get it, sometimes it's just tough shit. They don't have to.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't have to agree with you. They don't have to. They're not you. They're not living your life. You've got to be careful, I think, to not let other people decide what you're supposed to do with your life. I can't stand when other people tell me the way I'm supposed to think.
Yes.
I'm not huge on politicians. I have no idea why anyone defends a politician. It's beyond me. I'm fairly certain they don't want our help. They just want your vote and your money, and that's good. And then you can shut up and sit down.
Yeah.
But it's just you just have to stick to your guns and believe in yourself, and know that some days are good, some days are bad, and some days are just average, and that's all okay.
That's good dad advice.
Yeah, and that's all okay. And you just have to take it slow. It's not a race. Right? You've heard me tell you that, and Tom, 1,000 times. We're great at parenting the path you're supposed to take and get through it as quickly as you can, or else. I don't know what the or else is. But it just isn't a race, and you are allowed to change your mind as many times as you need to.
Amen.
And that's the piece of advice I've told a lot of graduation parties I've gone to, and the children that I've known, the kids I've known that have grown up into young men and women. I've told them, I said, listen, I know right now you want to be a railroad engineer, okay? And you may end up being that.
Yeah.
But you may also discover something different.
You may be a pastry chef.
And don't be afraid to change.
Yes.
And don't be afraid to tell everyone. It's gonna be uncomfortable. It's gonna be difficult the first time out. But you know what? You'll condition them. They'll get used to it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, you may change your mind 4 times, right? And they may just go, oh, okay, all right, well, I get it. You're still figuring it out, But you got to get past that initial shock. I thought you were an engineer. Well, why would anyone think that? I haven't engineered anything. I haven't even written a check yet. None of those things, right?
Yeah.
So, I think it's a lot to ask of anyone when they're younger, and even
when you're an adult,
your older adult life.
Adult.
Yeah, I mean,
I like how you said you'll condition them, because it's not something you are what you are, but other people will adjust.
Yeah, and sometimes when they don't, too bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it just has to fall into that category. I mean, I have no idea if everyone in my family appreciates the fact that I'm in trucking. I don't really care.
But also, who cares? Because you've made a life for yourself.
I don't. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
I don't require your approval.
True.
Now, that's from a standpoint of being a grown man with 30 years of productivity behind him. Mm-hmm. And when you don't quite have that and you're trying to find your traction, it's a lot easier said than done, you know? So it may not be a bad idea to share your hopes and dreams.
Selectively.
Yeah, out of the gate, right?
Speaking from experience, I kept it real quiet for a while because mainly I had to decondition myself and to be like, I'm experiencing things that I didn't know could be possible.
Right, yeah.
And even though I had been experiencing them, I had always brushed them off as, shove that under the rug. So I had to do that personal work myself first. And then by the time I was like, I want to do this all the time.
Right.
You do lose people.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is, as you lose people, you gain people who fit you better. And I think if you're dealing with a situation where you have family members or even friends or chosen family, whatever, who are like, you're crazy. Like, you deserve to kind of let them go. Because I definitely have lost friends that I've known for years. And they just are not at the same spot I am. And I can't wait for them.
Yeah, nice way to put that. You can't wait for them, right? Because you end up waiting your whole life.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that at some point in time they won't circle back.
Exactly.
I think that's okay too.
Yeah.
We've all heard stories about the Wall Street executive that, ground herself to fine powder by all the work that she did, and then one day quit it and decided to get a beehive and make honey. Raise honey for a living,
Sure, yeah.
And we all think, oh God, that's so noble, that's so great, But if it, it's like we can only buy into that narrative because you've done the right thing for all those years, and now you've earned it, and now you can do something crazy like be a beekeeper when you're 55 years old,
Yeah.
So, I think we can all do ourselves a favor by allowing ourselves the latitude of accepting people's changes in life and not questioning them.
Yeah.
And just hoping the best for someone. Mm-hmm. You've heard me say it a bunch of times. I think you're an ass if you want more out of the life than to be healthy, happy, and safe. You got those 3 things going on. I don't know what else you could possibly want out of life.
Yeah.
For me, that's the trifecta. Boom. Congratulations. Mm-hmm. You've made it.
And I will just add in there, if you do have family members who just cannot come to grips with this, I think at a certain point you have to be like, okay, that's your path. Mm-hmm. And I have to respect that at some point. And we're just going 2 separate ways right now. We may meet up later, but I can't drag you along my path with me.
Right.
So I think when you have family members who are, just as an example, like really deep into their, whatever religion that may be, that doesn't have space for what you're doing, that you just sort of have to let them walk that path. And I'm not saying it's fun, I'm not saying it's enjoyable, but if you're someone who sort of is kind of awakening them to the fact like, okay, well, we share chromosomes and I'm not crazy and this is a thing.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I'm cracking your mind open a little bit to it.
Could be. Right. Change is hard for for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, and now I will admit from a purely dad perspective, right? For as much as I will always support you guys, it's not blindly. You know, I mean, if you all of a sudden tell me that you're dead set that you can make a living selling icicles, right? I'm probably going to go, oh, let's talk about that, darling. Right? I mean, let's think that one through a little bit. You know, what's the game? I'm not going to shoot you down, but
Sure.
I'm going to need you to educate me just because there's a protective instinct inside of both me and your mother.
Right.
You know, that if anything screws with you, there's an outstanding chance I'm not going to like it. You know, and I'm probably going to hate it more than you. You know, that's just being a good parent. You know, I've got to look out for you all the time. That's my job. You may not want it, and you're probably not going to know I'm doing it, but I'm going to do it, and you're not going to know about it sometimes. You know, so that's a damn good question. You know, it's
because it's a big problem. I mean, I wouldn't call it a problem. It's a reoccurring theme that you see. Yeah, and they're like, a lot of times people come to this and they're like, I grew up in this household. I don't feel connected to this religion, but I found this and I really like it. Now I don't know how to go back into my family, and
it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I've
and you've already done so much work to even accept that, oh, you're an empath, or oh, I actually am sensing energy, and that is enough. You don't always have to convince someone else. I would say give yourself permission to sort of relax as far as that goes into.
So I've known folks that have done something as simple as, I shouldn't say as simple as, but switch religions. Right? I'm Presbyterian and now I'm going to be a Baptist.
Okay.
And it's caused problems in their family because of that. You know, why that would cause problems is beyond me. I mean, it's our own personal faith and belief.
Right.
And quite honestly, if I don't want you to know anything about it, it's none of your business.
This is true.
You know, and just because you don't see me at church on Sunday doesn't mean I'm not in church somewhere else. It's my worry, not yours. You know, so yeah, we get squirrely as a species about stuff like that. You know, I don't know why, but I just know that when you don't have anyone pulling for you or accepts the path that you're going to give your best shot at, it just makes it so much harder. Yeah, you know, it just does, and life's hard enough. And if all you have to do is throw support and good vibes at someone and tell them to do the very good for you, do the very best that you can, put your best foot forward each and every day. Remember, I've always said, what really, for my opinion, in this life, if you can actually do your best every day. Now, your best on Monday compared to Tuesday might be worlds apart. One might suck compared to the other, but it's your best effort, right? And you're always bringing a great product to the show. You are automatically going to do better than, 70-80% of the population. Because most people cannot do that. They think they can. But to actually wake up and try and give it your best will automatically pull you away from the herd. So, you know, if we could do that as like an American family, boy, how much better off would we be?
Well, the reason that works is because you're putting your authenticity into it.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself into it. So you're going to see results in that way. And that really goes back to living your purpose, because if you're living your authentic life, you really can't do anything more than that. That's really the whole reason you're here. And to not live authentically is to do a disservice to yourself. So if you're struggling with, well, maybe if I just pretend, maybe if I just hide it from them, I get that. Do what makes you feel safe. But at the same time, if you're not living authentically, you're not really doing anyone any favors.
Yeah. A lot of secret suffering that goes on in all of our lives.
Yeah.
You know, and if, like I said, if all you have to do is be kind to someone and be nice to their whatever it is they want to do, you know, man, more power to them. I mean, think of all the folks think of a poor inventor. You know, think of like Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right now we realize his brilliance.
Yeah.
You know, but at the time, I'm sure
You know,
They
Nikola
were like,
Tesla.
"Oh, crazy Nick here. Is he coming to Thanksgiving, or is he still trying to electrocute himself?" Right? You know, all that kind of talk, and
so.
you know, who's the joke end up being?
Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So.
And you know, Nikola, it's funny you mention him because he straight up would talk about how he was communicating with aliens.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I gotta YouTube that tonight.
Yeah, you do.
You brought that up. It's my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty funny. Yeah. No, absolutely. You're always gonna seem crazy to someone. I'm sure I seem crazy to people, but I can't do anything different than what I'm doing.
Well, you've got to be who you are right in this moment. So, you know, I know guys in my line of work. One comes to mind in particular that I'm sure he's just bats. He's just the strangest character to be with. To hang at lunches are embarrassing and but he's very good at what he does.
Yeah.
It's very unconventional, and he has a very odd approach to things, and it is not the way I would go about it, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't tell him I think he's crazy or nuts. You know, I kind of watch and I laugh about it, you know, behind his back. Boy, what a great guy I am. You know, but to me, this guy is an example of, you know, okay, I guess there's not really a mold. There's a lot of molds. I'm just used to this one mold. Yeah. And, he's, till this day, he continues to be successful, which blows my mind.
Oh, there you go.
But, you know, the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, good question. And I get why folks would struggle with it, why they would worry about it.
Yeah.
And I just think that you just have to build up your timber for what it is that's in front of you. Keep working on it. Mm-hmm. You know, accept the small victories, build upon them. Mm-hmm. When you're in the dumps, feeling down and bad about yourself in any format, for me, I find two things. The very smallest amount of action makes me feel better.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be damn near nothing. Maybe I read an article, you know, I mean.
Right.
But I feel as if, though, I've contributed some positive energy. Yeah. And it helps me way more. I get way more back than I've put into it when I do that. And talking about it. Again, even in the very smallest degree, I feel relief, right? That invisible weight you hear me talk about. Mm-hmm. Didn't know it was around my neck. Yeah. I didn't even realize I thought something was there, couldn't really feel it, certainly couldn't find it, and all of a sudden when I take one of those two actions, I kind of go, wow, man, I was really worried about that and didn't realize that was really bothering me, and I you know, I got to do that, you know, more often. It
helps to find your people. You're always going to find a whole bunch of woo-woo weirdos on the internet. We're out there. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid, again, as I said before, to lose people but find new people. You're going to be so much more comfortable that way.
You will, yeah.
You really are.
You know, I hate the term lose people. Maybe just pause people.
Yeah, that can happen as well. But sometimes people do just fall out of your life.
It happens.
And that's going to be okay.
It happens. Yeah. I mean, it's inevitable. Yeah.
Well, that was kind of heavy. It's about 28 minutes into the podcast. Do you want to take a music break?
Yeah. So I actually came up with this yesterday and had to hold back on it. Oh. And I know my band right off the top of my head. Oh. Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's gonna create a stir. I don't know if it'll create an internet stir, but you'll be so most overrated band.
The Offspring.
The Offspring.
The Offspring. You're gonna go far, kid. Is there one? You know it. If you were to hear it even once, you'd know it. But every other song by The Offspring sounds just like You're Gonna Go Far, Kid, except they slap new lyrics on it.
Okay, and they're a big deal because I got to be honest with you, I'm not an Offspring.
They're fairly large. They're fairly recognizable.
All right, and it's almost like a deep cuts kind of band for me.
Not really. They're not. They're just not really worth dedicating much brain space to.
Mine's an atomic bomb compared to yours.
What is it?
Coldplay.
I'm not going to entirely disagree with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't get.
The earlier stuff, Yellow, Fix You, I like that stuff. Wait, is Yellow Coldplay?
Yes.
Yes. I like that stuff. But then they really got into sort of like really
it's too
popular
spacey.
stuff.
It's just I'm just not a Coldplay guy. I listen to it and I'm like, I keep waiting for it to hit. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel like,
it's
like
big.
a lot of their songs, I feel that they're overly
produced,
emotional or something. I don't know. Like,
overly
I
emotional.
need to cry or something. Yeah, it's just, I can't connect properly with Coldplay.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. Now, that being said, when there is a popular Coldplay song on the radio, I definitely sing along.
Okay, so their biggest hit would be a big hit from them? Any hit?
You mean like most recently? Heck if
What's
I know.
the dumb one about the stars? Stars. Or, that crazy
heck?
thing. Yeah, that's a Coldplay tune, man. I'll find it later.
You're gonna need to.
I hope it is because I'm forever on the podcast here. Yeah, just
if you
terrible.
So, do you want me to pick a? I can't think. See, here's the thing: is I don't normally waste my time on things that I think are overrated.
How about just that's a band. How about an individual person?
Oh dear.
It's just like man, they get so much attention, and it's just.
And I just
lost
don't
on
understand.
Ed Sheeran? I'm joking.
No.
I'm joking.
So here's one person I don't entirely get. I don't understand Charlie Puth. That's just a personal thing.
Okay.
I don't get. I mean, when his songs come on the radio, he's got me. I'm singing along. But at the same time, I'm just like, I don't know if I have a full album of Charlie Puth in me. That being said, he's still on the radio, so he's winning.
Right.
But yeah.
So mine comes from my big three bands, right?
Yeah.
Stones, Zeppelin, and Pink Floyd. So this would be the fourth band. It's the Beatles. And the dude that I don't understand why garnishes any attention is Ringo. Current day Ringo, or the last 25, 30 years Ringo.
Yeah.
Just lost on me.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, he pulls his Ringo's all-star band together,
He does.
It's names that we all know, but it's just a mishmash of God knows what's going on.
But here's why Ringo's going to win.
Then the people show up. There's like 40,000 people in the crowd,
Even if he's Ringo, he's still a Beatle.
I get it, but man, is that polish worn off yet?
I don't know.
I guess not.
I don't think so. It's only the two Beatles. So yeah, I think people really like your value appreciates as the Beatles get whacked off.
Well, there's only two left. So why did Ringo and Paul never have they made a tune together?
No.
Post Beatles?
I don't think so.
Are they friends or maybe not?
I don't think so. I mean, I would assume
I can't imagine
friendly.
hating anyone for 30 years to not make music again with them, or longer than that.
I don't know the intricacies of their relationships, but as far as their music goes, it's very different in terms of skill.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've heard, I don't know how many times Ringo's a great drummer. They refer to him as like a lyrical kind of drummer, that he's very good at playing along with the melody without dominating the song.
Okay.
And I guess I can see that, and I've watched examples, again, on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that. I just would never have rated him as a prolific drummer as people claim him to be, but I'm not a drummer, so.
Same. When I think of like an excellent drummer, I think of Ginger Baker.
Sure. Well, yeah, it's hard to argue.
Yeah. But Ringo Starr, I mean, we can throw stones at Ringo Starr, but he's still a Beatle,
Nope, you can't take that away from him.
Yeah.
I mean, he was there for it all, and hats off to him.
Walk in any parter, and he's cooler than you.
Yeah, well, for real. So, the genre that I dislike the most, rap. I just
really.
Yeah, I just don't understand rap. I don't want to knock it too hard here in the podcast, but let's just say that when someone decides they need to make an album that is not an artist, that's the default genre. It seems like.
I think it's country music nowadays. You default to country.
I'm gonna say that's a much. Yeah.
Nowadays country. Here's the thing: is I like rap. I don't necessarily.
See, I like the funny rap. Like the early rap where it was like the Big Butts thing.
Like 80, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Fresh Prince, theme song.
But I mean, like.
More comical than musical, I think, but that's what I like.
And I like Kendrick Lamar. He's really great. Off the top of my head, I'm not deep into rap, so if I say any more, I'm going to embarrass myself because I don't know enough. A genre that I don't understand, acid jazz. I don't get it.
Yeah, you know what I don't like about it? It's so disconnected. It's like I can't follow the melody when everyone's just, hey, let me hit, 200 bad notes in a row, and we're going to call that a solo, and I just like, that didn't go with anything, and sounded kind of squeaky, and
They have such a firm grasp on what the beat is that I just don't have.
Yeah.
That when I can't follow a set pattern, when I don't know what's coming, it's not predictable, and I'm like, what even is this?
The thing that gets me is when I hear something like that, or just I don't know, like classical, everyone recognizes this as a true benchmark of great jazz, right?
Yeah.
And I hear it, and I'm like, am I broken? Because I'm not catching it.
Yeah.
It sounded kind of clunky, like they kind of like got lost halfway through it,
Well, they lost me halfway through it. That's the thing. I don't get it. I understand that there's skill in jazz. Any jazz singer player is
high skill level.
So much better than I am at it. But I can't. My brain cannot follow. So to me, I'm like, this is broken music. I don't understand it. I can't listen to it. I don't get it.
Oh, I feel like I'm a music idiot when I listen to stuff like that. It's like beyond me. It's like trying to understand opera. Really know what's happening,
Well, it's all in a different language.
I can, that doesn't help, but I mean, I can appreciate someone's vocal range.
Yes.
And just kind of go, wow, look at her go, it's amazing, Could I listen to opera for an afternoon? I don't think so.
No.
I mean, that would be overwhelming for me, just be a scream fest after a while, but.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I need to develop my chops in some genre. I'm trying desperately now with classical music. I'm liking it.
I like
I just need to learn about it. It seems clouded in mystery with these, requiems and all these different, in the key of F, and I'm like, was it that different?
Changes the feel of the whole song.
It does, and I'm slowly learning that.
Yeah.
Because a Stone song is a Stone song, right? I mean, Sympathy for the Devil is what it is.
True.
You could change it to the key of whatever, and it's still sympathy. So
it's like a cover.
Yeah.
You can put a completely different feel onto it. That being said, I don't understand acid jazz, but I do like jazz. Billie Holiday.
Yeah.
Give me some jazz. Ella Fitzgerald.
Yeah. I get
Louis
you.
Armstrong.
Yes.
Duke Ellington.
It's not all lost to me. I just struggle with it. So, all right, good. That was a nice musical break.
Good.
I like that. How do the radio thing?
Well, we've got 37 minutes in,
okay,
and I have another question
for
you. Is there anything about what I do that you don't understand and want me to explain?
Yes.
Hit me.
So on a number of occasions, I've heard you refer to angels or other creatures. I'll just say that as a catchphrase. So is it a representation of a feeling that they're trying to convey to you, or is it an actual deer that's talking to you or communicating to you? Or do you not know?
Do you mean like in a reading, when a reading comes in, and like when I pick up on someone's angel?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, is it a real angel as far as you know, or is it just someone's troop presenting themselves as an angel?
You can tell when you're being punked, when someone's not being sincere. And an angel never punks you. They have a very distinctive feel to them. A lot of the information I get, I see it clairvoyantly, but the clairvoyance is really like backup for my sensing. So they work together. When I encounter angelic energy, it's interesting. I have a knowing, a sense, and a sight that it's an angel. And they feel a specific way. They do specific things. They operate on a specific kind of wavelength. So, yes, angels, are a thing. They are just a sort of a specific class of energy, so to say. They don't have an ego like we do. Like, they don't have... They're individuated in the respect that they have a little bit of personality, but not like you or I would, where we identify with our personality. That's not it. They mainly identify with service. They're very service-oriented.
To who?
To their mission. So, for example, Archangel Gabriel is really like a top dog of communication. So, Gabriel would help with communicating, expressing, that type of thing. You might find him at like, you could ask him to preside over things or just to be there with you at like a big board meeting or any kind of presentation that you have to give or any, even just like a one-on-one conversation with someone. And they would be there to help you with that vibration that you're trying to bring in.
Okay. I mean, I would think a dude like him would be pretty busy.
Actually, the archangels are available and accessible to everyone at all times. Because of singularity, which we talked about last time, everything is the now moment. So it's a hard concept to sort of wrap your head around, but they have the ability to be everywhere simultaneously.
Yeah, well, we're very linear.
Yeah.
In the moment and only going forward, and we can think backwards a little bit.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, I've heard that a few times. Okay, I mean, as a... let me ask you this. So, who might drop in? Because if it were me developing the skill set, and suddenly an angel of large caliber showed up, I would be quite surprised.
Really?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in my religious upbringing, I mean, that's sort
true.
of like,
Yeah.
that's like bumping into Bruce Springsteen on the corner or Jagger
Sure.
at the donut shop.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be like, dude, what in the hell are you doing here? You know. So it would almost be like, it's just not going to happen. And when it does, you know, it's over before it started type, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, that would be sort of like, man, that'll never happen again, you know.
You will come across some teachers who are like, it's really rare for an archangel to be, but they're everywhere. It's really commonplace.
What would pop into play that might impress you or take you off guard or surprise you that, you know, you're like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that.
I have run into, yeah, it is a fair question. I normally am constantly surprised. Things that I didn't know, things that when you give readings, there are also opportunities for your guides and their guides to teach the reader about things as well. When you give a reading, it's easier to give a reading for other people because you're sort of like pulling on the horizontal. So if the reader, I'm sort of just going vertically for information, just straight up to my guides. And it's hard to ask, it's more difficult to ask questions that way. And so when you have a sitter there who's pulling on you for specific information, you're sort of pulling on the horizontal for that information.
Okay,
so it's
gotcha.
easier to ask information because you're not clouding it with your own assumptions and your own questions and your own doubts and anything. You're just like, what does this person need to know? And they're pulling that energy from you. And so you just sort of spit it out that way. And so that's a good way for them to teach you by what your sitter needs. And so when you're reading for someone, oftentimes you'll attract sitters who are working on the same things you're working on so that it's an opportunity for them to heal and for you to heal as well. So that's a really common thing. But I do encounter things in readings, and this is what I was talking about by like learning, and I'll be like, I didn't know that like trolls were a thing. I didn't know
just
that
would
was
not
a
expect
thing.
it to be a thing. I just would go, well, it's not a troll, right? It's something else. It can't be that.
That was what I was shown. That was what it felt, and it really felt more like a guardian for a space. And I was like, what? But when you're in a position like that and it's a reading, you just have to go with it. Because if you add your own commentary and color to it, then you're not doing your job. So if it feels right, if it's coming from my guides, if it feels high vibration, and you know when it's a lie, you know when you're being punked because of how it will feel, then it's my responsibility to give it to you. So that always surprises me when I get something like, oh my God, I didn't know that was an actual real thing. You know, it happens quite frequently.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be difficult for me to get used to.
To me, it's fun. I like being surprised like that. Like the world is more magical than I knew it could be. That it has the capacity to be more magical than we allow it to be. That's funny because even I was thinking about it and I'm like, man, like this world is kind of boring. We don't have anything like, we're so worried about survival. We're so worried about, like, our 9 to 5. We're so worried at, like, where's the fun in it? Where's the magic?
Yeah, it's you got to grind through.
That's really the feel of it down here. And so it's funny when you come into sort of like the woo-woo aspect of thing, and you're sort of you'll hear a lot of people say, "I just want to go back to my spaceship. I want to go back home." And it's like, well, yeah, because you're bored out of your mind. But it's like, what if there was the capacity for more out there? And every time I give a reading, they surprise me with something where I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, speaking of the linear existence that we live in, and how you said that an angel has the capacity to transcend that linear thing that we're caught in. They can be everywhere at once, or like time is not the same for them as it is for us.
Yeah.
However that could possibly be. But so let me tie that into UFOs, right? One of the biggest, because I believe them, right? I've been a believer of UFOs and extraterrestrials and a different form of existence than what we know. And for all I know, it could be within this world and don't even realize it.
Yeah.
The sheer distance between the next possible planet.
Yeah.
I can't argue that. I mean, it is, and I can't even imagine how far away it is. I have no reference point for that sort of distance, But as I've, and just like you said, on the internet, there's plenty of charlatans out there, right? That just want to garnish the hits and try and sell a few ads and, boom, there's the paycheck. But there's, one guy in particular, I won't say his name, but, I'm going to say sort of revolutionized a lot of the thinking and...
around aliens?
Yeah, and basically what he has said is that they don't transport themselves like we do. Rocket power from one point to the other. He says they
use consciousness.
Yeah. So the fact that they can traverse these tremendous distances is not because they're traveling 400 million miles.
Right.
They've probably only traveled a half of a foot.
Well, and then you also are dealing with the thing that, can a physical form even handle traveling that fast? Would the physical form break apart?
Yeah, well, probably would. Right? Yeah.
So what they're doing is they don't identify with a physical form as intensely as we do. So they're able to be in sort of like this quasi-physical, non-physical state, sort of like water can be a liquid, gas, and solid. Sort of a thing. They can oscillate between that a little bit. They're less attached to form. And with that in mind, they can use consciousness to be wherever they want to be. Daryl Anka channels Bashar. And the way Bashar is an interdimensional.
Okay.
And the way Bashar explains it is he says time, distance, and speed, or something like that. Like your location, where you want to go, is not necessarily like the solution to the equation. It's part of the equation. So they use the coordinate point as part of where am I traveling. So it's part of the whole.
You got a destination.
Yeah. So and they use it as a tool rather than how are we going to get there. It's like, well, I want to go here. And then so they use however they use. Science is above my head on that. And they just use that as part of the solution to get there, not as how do we solve for this distance.
Yeah.
They incorporate the distance into it.
Well, I mean, just another example of, they're having a different existence than we do, I guess.
Yeah,
a different form of consciousness.
Angels are completely different because they don't have a form. It's just energy.
Just energy. Okay.
Yeah, and
organized energy, though, right?
Yes. You could say archangelic energy is really more of like a consciousness complex where it's a large. I don't want to say hive mind because it has a bunch of negative connotations to it, but a lot of energies creating that entity. so to say.
Okay.
And you might have like individual guardian angels, as we all do, and they sort of are not necessarily part of this large consciousness complex. They may be sort of taking their own little individualized journey, which is equally as valid. But normally when you come across an archangel, that's sort of what that is. So you'll also come across the archangels and you'll be like, why do people describe them so differently? Or why have we decided that Archangel Michael is a great protector? How did we come across this?
Who knows?
The only archangel that I've ever really felt any kind of connection with is Archangel Michael, and I've never called him Archangel Michael when I'm talking about him. What I've done is I just always called him Saint Michael, because to me that seems more approachable, as if I have a closer, like Uncle Mike.
Yeah.
It's just Uncle Mike.
I get that, yeah.
Yeah, and to me, Archangel Michael feels more like a favorite uncle kind of energy than anyone that is here to, like, protect me. And so I actually had that. I was like, why does that, like, I know it's Archangel Michael, but I have a completely different, he's not standing over me with a flaming sword. And I've read for people who, when Archangel Michael shows up for them, he does show up with like that flaming sword kind of feel.
That's a cool sword, man.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really interesting to me. I know it's Archangel Michael, but it's not who Archangel Michael is to me. And so that's how that happens. It's sort of, we manifest the Archangel, that Michael that we need. You know?
A little deep for me there, but I follow you.
I feel like I just spat out a lot of gibberish over there. But
well, you got to get the information out there.
Yeah.
And we got to piece it together sometimes, right? So I do have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Advice for someone, and I'll keep it to a young person.
Okay.
Maybe someone who's 10 years old, 14 years old,
Mm-hmm.
that has this ability. What is a good what's a good piece of advice for understanding it and making sure you're not overwhelmed by it?
I would say first step is that there's no rule in the rule book that requires you to be overwhelmed by what you're experiencing. So if you do feel overwhelmed, if you're saying this is too much, I don't know what to do, I have no idea why these dead people are standing at the foot of my bed, they don't have to be standing at the foot of your bed. You're allowed to tell them no. And
a lot of power in that.
Yeah. You're allowed to say, hey, punk, I'm sleeping. Not today. And not in my dreams.
That works, huh?
You're allowed to say, yeah, you are. You can just say
Set
no.
your own boundaries, right? Your own hard boundaries.
Exactly. There's no rule that says you have to suffer for this. It's counterproductive for you to suffer for it. And it's healthy for you to set those boundaries. And even if they get angry, that doesn't matter.
So, is it fair to say that if you declare that out loud or in your mind,
yeah,
that it's almost like it's like the rule becomes a rule of known through the universe, that's her rule and I have to follow it?
Mm-hmm. You will have people who try and poke holes in your bubble.
Sure.
But the point is that you're not necessarily trying to force power up, like, over them. Mm-hmm. You're saying, in my experience, I'm going to have a good night's sleep.
As an example. Could be anything.
It could be anything. But if you have dead people showing up at the foot of their bed, you're freaked out.
Why so much at night? What's the shtick with that, for Christ's sake? Why can't it be during broad daylight?
There's less activity going on. Your brain waves.
In the world, in your neck of the woods, or just with you?
With both. So in your neck of the woods, with you, your brain waves get slower. You enter those slower states of consciousness, and that's like meditation. So when we sleep, it's really a form of meditation. And
I have been meditating.
Yeah, we all have. Just like unconsciously. That's why you get so much more at night, because there's less activity that's occupying your brain space. You're slowing down. You're getting ready for bed. That type of thing. That's why.
Okay, I get it. Another thing I'm a believer in too. When people have something maybe unexplained that happens to them. and they try to explain it away.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with a UFO. Well, at first I thought it was a UFO, but it couldn't be because, and then they come up with some other reason, or again, I swear to God, I saw someone walk past the doorway, last year, it was just a brief second, but it had to be a shadow or whatever, and I think that we probably all have something like this happen to us, but we try to just brush it aside because it's a whole other thing I got to figure out now, right? It's another thing I got to wrestle to the ground and all that. And I think that we don't give ourselves enough credit for going, I saw that. I know what I saw. I'm not stupid. Mm-hmm. I know when I see things, I know what it is.
Yeah.
And I think we need to believe and trust in ourselves and accept that a heck of a lot quicker than what we do. And, and maybe that, I don't know, maybe that opens up a door for us that, someone's trying to kick open an inch for us. But if you think you've seen something, chances are you saw it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what you saw.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone talk you out of it.
No, that's a big part of it, really. And it's also part of sort of like claiming your own dominion, your sovereignty on it. There's really no point in sort of invalidating yourself in that way. You're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You're also not empowering yourself. There's no harm in actually saying, I saw that. But it doesn't have to change how I live my life.
So from what you understand, and this may not be in your wheelhouse, but when there is there's definitely someone in the home, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to say their names out loud, but one of them's English. And, she is emphatically 100% certain that the home she grew up in was haunted, is still haunted. Mm-hmm. Beyond the shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Saw her, felt the presence, the room was cold as shit. Mm-hmm. Things would go missing and end up in that room. Had her brother watch the house over a vacation, and 2 days in, brother calls and goes, "What the hell's in the house?"
Yeah.
And it's like, I forgot to tell you. How the hell can you forget to tell? So I mean, it's it's very validated, but for some reason, it's still not enough evidence.
Yeah.
For folks that choose not to believe, that's not enough. That's not I need more than that. I always need more. Mm-hmm. No matter what it is, the old, if the aliens are out there, why don't they just land on the White House lawn,
What good will that
or at the very least, why don't we have some video evidence? Well, you do, but you just discount all of it. It doesn't matter how good the quality is, it's fake, right? So what's the point,
Yeah.
So when there is something like that going on in her home, we'll go back to her, and I think I know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Why is that person there still? Why do you think they choose to hang around for decades and watch the world separate from what they have? It's no longer recognizable for them.
They could believe in some sort of judgment for them in the afterlife, and they may be trying to avoid that. That scares a lot of people. They could feel as if they can't move on, which is never true. Or they could just be a mischievous spirit who just isn't ready to move on. There's actually sort of a class of guides out there who are actually tasked with sort of that kind of soul retrieval, bringing those little lost lambs home. They're called like the Third Order, and they do that. Now, that spirit could have some sort of attachment that they're just not ready to let go of. You see that sometimes with people who struggled with some type of addiction. Sometimes they're not ready to let go of the addiction, and so they attach themselves to places that, like, let's say they really liked getting drunk. And so they would attach themselves to bars, and they would follow people who got drunk, and they'd sort of siphon that energy off of them.
Keep tethered to whatever it is.
That's not very common. though. Like, you'd have to have a real problem. You would have to be bucking every attempt for someone to bring you home, and that's honored because as a soul, you've decided that you're not ready to let go of that experience yet, and you're still learning from it. Mm-hmm. That said, anyone can go home to spirit, to oneness, to love at any point in time, always, anytime, as soon as they change their mind and decide. And if you're worried about something like that, it does help to pray. You can let that person know, hey, there's no judgment for you where you're going. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go, but you can go, that always helps. Generally, it sounds like that was a friendly Casper that, that home was dealing with, so there's probably no real issue.
Mostly friendly, but I think that this particular spirit sort of did prefer to have her own bedroom.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Don't we all want our own bedroom? I mean, I'd love to have my own bedroom. I'd put rock posters up, and Mom would have to know the secret code to get in, and, what's the password,
that sounds like someone who would probably benefit from, like, a session with a medium. To be like, is there something you need? Like, do you need to talk about this? Do you want to get in touch with your guides? Because even after you pass on, if you haven't, you still have guides. Mm-hmm. Like, they're still waiting for you to come home.
Still got your troop looking out for you.
Yeah.
I would think at that point they could just grab you.
Well, it's a free will.
And screaming. Oh,
it's a free will playground. Okay. Yeah, so you don't have to go. You can kick around here. You're not as powerful. You don't have as much ability to affect your surroundings as you do in physicality here, so you really can't do much besides, like, parlor tricks, like making paper clips disappear and reappear.
Hair scrunchies,
that kind of stuff. Yeah. And sometimes the fear that might bring someone with, like, the lights going out or something like that can give you a little boost of yucky feeling energy that someone else is giving off, but it's not really going to get you very far. It's really, whenever someone thinks they have a haunting, they're mostly just creeped out. And that's understandable, but it's really rare for a haunting to be dangerous. Like, you've got to have someone with a real bad attitude.
So, folks, we like to vacation in St. Augustine's, Florida. Mm-hmm. Have for, it's 30 years now. Can't believe I can say that, but I can.
30 years?
Yeah. Mom and I have been going there for, actually we went before we were married. So, yeah, just forever. And it's a very haunted city, right? And we've been on lots of ghost tours. Mm-hmm. Ton of fun. Just neat walking around the old town, period.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever get a feeling of, because we're all looking with our eyes, hoping to see something.
Yeah.
Did you ever get the sense of...
We went before I was really open.
Yeah.
But...
In retrospect.
Yeah, in retrospect, yes. The thing about St. Augustine is that it's like the oldest white people city in America. And there's a lot of residual energy there. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of, like, it's the original cobblestones are there still.
Yeah, they sure are.
The original gates are still there. Yeah, the original buildings, like, everything's still there. Yeah. And anything you interact with carries your energy on it. And if many people have done that, it's going to carry that energy. People are still living there. It's like seeped into the bones of it. We haven't dug it up and dispersed it. It's still there. So I would say, it doesn't even have to be the ghosts of people who even lived there before. It would just attract other ghosts, other energy to that space. But I did get that there were
type.
Yeah, I get setting. Not to say that it has its own magnetism, but if you're someone who's avoiding and you're mischievous and you're like, well, I'll go here.
Good place to land.
This is a good place to land. Yeah, I did get there were some, like, mischievous. They're just people who just don't want to go home. They're those people you got to kick out of the bar at 3 a.m. Like, all right, folks, you don't got to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Okay. I mean, just wondered, there was a lot of things. I mean, when we did the St. Augustine's Lighthouse, mm-hmm. I certainly felt something in... I don't know if you can remember when you walk into the White House. God, I'm thinking about who. But anyway, to the left and the right there are smaller rooms, and one might have been like the kerosene room, where they keep the.
Yeah.
And the other room, I don't know what it was, but I actually did feel a bit of a electricity in the air, I guess is the best way to put it. Like a lot of unorganized static electricity. Like, if, you know, if I'd have rubbed my feet and touched you, I'd have got a spark type deal.
Yeah.
So I did sense that. And an old program we used to watch has come back on the air again with some new seasons, and they went back to St. Augustine's for the third time. So you probably know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. And
I went on a tour, minus Mom, because she was pregnant with you, and I believe it was myself, Doyle, Linda, and Taddy. And
name dropping.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. To bleep that out later. I don't think it really matters.
I don't either.
Yeah. One of them made a comment about, boy, do you smell that pipe smoke?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For real. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I do. And I love pipe smoke. I mean, I'd burn it like potpourri if it wasn't bad for everyone. You know, I just love it. And I'm looking around for the, you know, it's pretty easy to find someone that's smoking a pipe.
Yeah.
There wasn't anyone. Not just smoking a pipe. There wasn't anyone around us. You know, and I realize that smoke can travel pretty far, but how frequently do you encounter someone?
That's called clairgustance, I think, where you smell something that's not there, and it's actually a form of, like, clairvoyance, sort of a thing.
I don't want to say all of us smelt it, but I think 3 out of the 4 did. And I'm watching that program, and you know, one of the caretakers is that's one of the things, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I'll be darned.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say.
About the smell thing?
Drat. No, I wasn't. Anyways, keep going.
Oh, okay. So I mean, that was one of the things in the old city, and it wasn't a ghost tour. It was just a tour.
I remember what I was gonna say.
You know.
When I go into a space, I don't most often pick up on, like, the dead people still hanging around there. I tend to pick up on the residual energies that need healing. So, like, if someone was shot there or something and they're dealing with some sort of the residual energy, it's like heartbreak or something, or it's just pain in general, or there was some sort of imbalance that happened in the space, that I feel the need to address and balance it. So it's not necessarily, I operate on the belief that if you address the underlying energy that's creating the problem, then the problem's going to resolve itself. So
makes sense.
That's why I don't most often pick up on earthbounds, because I don't feel that me communicating and addressing them is really going to help anything. And I think that's probably a good rule to go by. The more that you interact with an earthbound and communicate with them, the more reason they're going to have to stick around, because someone's interacting with them and talking with them. So even when I'm in meditation, and when I'm not doing energetic maintenance on my auric field, I will. It's funny, the first time this happened to me, I became aware of, like, roomfuls of people in my aura. And they weren't doing anything. They were just not going anywhere, because I guess my aura was particularly bright or something. I don't know. But I looked at them and I was like, can I help you?
Sure.
What are you all doing here? And they just all kind of looked at me like, oops. And so I tried moving them on, and it was just people after people after people. And eventually my guides put a stop to it, and they're like, okay, go away, kind of a thing. Because it was just like, there's only so much you can do. Like, you can't be solely responsible for moving on a whole bunch of people, but you can tell them to be like, you have to get out of my energy. You can do the same thing to your space.
How much time is there?
We're way over. That's okay. I'll edit it.
Okay.
We're on it. This is a good conversation.
All right. Well, this really... It's going to be a lengthy one.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm going to save it for the next podcast.
I guess.
It's honestly, it'd be overwhelming at this point.
Well, we could split it up.
You want to? Okay, well, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah,
here.
let's keep it. We can't
so,
lightning strike twice. Come on.
Yeah.